About an hour ago, this has happened. A Georgia karate coach found guilty of multiple counts of child sex abuse, but he will not pay a dime in damage to his victims. That verdict was handed down just before 4 o'clock in the very high-profile trial of Georgia PAC's karate coach Craig Peeples. Now, the verdict means that jurors believed Peeples molested 4 out of the 7 men. But the money part, that's complicated. On your side's Ann Schindler has been in the Camden County Courthouse all week and joins us to explain what this mixed verdict means. Ann?
Well, it was a confusing mix of emotions in the courtroom today. Some defendants, some of the plaintiffs were elated, others were vindicated, but all of them stunned to learn that despite 4 guilty verdicts of child sexual assault, there will be no monetary damages paid. Now, today's verdict came after 2 weeks of harrowing testimony. 7 former students of the high-profile karate coach Craig Peeples describing hundreds of incidents of forced sexual encounters between the ages of 9 and 19 when they traveled for karate tournaments and stayed over at their coach's house. The Georgia Bureau of Investigation examined these claims in 2013 and found them sufficient to bring charges, but the statute of limitations expired in 2007. So this is the first case brought under a Georgia law called the Hidden Predator Act, which allowed adult victims to make claims that were sometimes years old. Peeples denied the allegations, but today a jury found otherwise. They said 4 of the 7 plaintiffs were entitled to receive punitive damages. However, they did not award any compensatory damages, and Georgia law doesn't allow punitive damages without them. So Peeples had countersued in this case for defamation. After today's verdict, he said he's going to drop that claim. We'll have more for you on this developing story tonight at 6 at the Camden County Courthouse in Woodbine. Ann Schindler, First Coast News, on your side.